So let's start today's conversation on marketing co-living spaces. It's one of the most spoken about topic because you can start, you can have a great product, but unless and until we start marketing it out or we start putting it out to people uh, and they start responding to it, we actually will not be able to build a business. So it's a very important aspect and one of the very strong pillars of the marketing movement on how we can market the best our co-living spaces in the best way possible. So what I'll take you through is a series of, so I've gone through all the questions that you have written while you fill the form, and I've also added certain things from my side. So we'll try and cover everything. Feel free to share your questions in the chat and we can read them towards the end, and then we'll try to answer as many as possible. Co-living University is an initiative by Art of Co. It's basically once a month we get together, learn about a particular topic. We have done 6 of these webinars. Today is the 7th one, which this can help you build, sustain, and grow your co-living business. That's what we are trying to do, to create a lot of free resources so that it helps all the stakeholders in the co-living industry. As Art of Co, we are building Art of Co as a information or the content first platform to help co-living entrepreneurs create the housing spaces of tomorrow. We have some initiatives that we are going through. We have a co-living incubator where the first batch is going through. We have our largest newsletter, which is called Everything Co-living, which goes to around 17,000 people across the world. And then we do a lot of co-living advisory as well. How can we make the most of today? Would like just follow the presentation, take detailed notes, have questions. Even if you're not able to ask questions here, you can write to us at coliving@artofco, and we can respond to you with whatever questions you have, right? And we'll help you create an advanced marketing plan for your co-living spaces. Now, the biggest question of all, how can we market our co-living spaces? One, the pre-read or the things that we have already written about is an Art of Co-living book written by Guy. He traveled to 200 co-living spaces and gathered all that wisdom into one book. You should definitely check it out if you haven't already read it. Now let me start with one of the most important things that we need to understand before we start delving into the marketing tactics and platforms and tools and other growth hack strategies, right? Is the digital presence. Most of us understand digital presence, but I just like to take a few seconds to go through it again. Go on Google, type your brand name, see what you see in the results is your digital presence. That's the digital real estate everybody wants to capture, whether it is through ads or organically, to make sure that your brand reaches maximum number of people. Now, why do you need a strong digital presence? Few things that we need to understand is 98% of the searches are happening online first in today's world, right? We are far from the world where offline searches was happening before online. Now it's like 98% people make the decisions online, and then some of them execute it online, some of them execute it offline, but the decision making is happening online. So we need to get discovered at the top of the funnel, at the decision-making process. We need to build that trust. Having a strong digital presence saves us a lot of money. It increases the conversion at the top of the funnel, and it helps us to grow our business sustainably. That's why we need a strong digital presence. And to build a strong digital presence, we need strong marketing, right? So now, in the way we at Art of Co think, we have built a digital presence framework. The way we look at it is, it has 4 stages. You start with a unique differentiation. You add thought leadership to it, build credibility, and then cultivate that credibility to build a presence. Now, just for an example, now let's pick an example of senior living, right? What is the differentiation? What is the unique positioning that you have if you're running a senior co-living? Like, it's long-term shared living for seniors. What you can do to build thought leadership? You can run podcast. You can do a study. you can publish reports, you can blog, you can start newsletter and start targeting it to the seniors. That is the way you build thought leadership. Now people respond to that thought leadership. It starts building credibility as people read more and more. So this webinar is our way of Art of Co to build credibility. And then you cultivate that credibility by increasing your subscribers, your customers, and so on and so forth. So this is something to keep in mind. We will come back to it later in the presentation again. Differentiation, thought leadership, credibility, and cultivation. I think this is the framework we'll use again in the next, towards the end of the presentation, to build something for our own co-living spaces and for our own personal brands. There are different components of the digital presence. There's brand positioning. There are digital assets which we need to create in order to build digital presence. And then we need to have a distribution channel so that we can distribute it or take it to the people who want it the most, or who are our target segments, right? Now, talking about digital assets, one of the biggest digital assets that we have or that we will build are our websites. They are the window to your product. They are the way you sell your products and services to the market that you want to sell it to. So let's go a little bit deeper into the websites. So you will get this presentation at the end. We will upload it on the website. So you will have access to all of this. So these are the examples, right? So I've noted down some of the examples that you can check here. Now, these are of different types of co-living. If you look at Cool, it's a community-based co-living. If you look at Node, it's an institutional co-living. If you look at Habit, it's the largest co-living operator in the world as of today. If you look at Mason and Fifth, it's urban co-living. If you look at Outpost, it's digital nomad co-living, right? If you look at Selena, it's community-centric hospitality brand that they're trying to create. If you look at New Age co-living, it's a New York-based senior co-living brand, right? And if you look at La Casa, it's an interest-based and senior co-living. So I've tried to put together a mix of different, so when you get this presentation, you can click and look at different websites and how they have kind of presented themselves, which will give you a lot of inspiration for your co-living and what you are doing or building as a concept. Now, there's an interesting, I'm just moving away from this. I'll open a document. Now, this is where I just want to touch upon it and showcase this to you. This document will be accessible to you. You can look at it later and build this for your own website, but it has a lot more detail in terms of research around different website structures, how people look at different websites, what have they done, or what is the decision-making tree that they have used on their home pages, and how they are putting themselves out there. So this is the research we have done at Art of Co, which you can use in order to understand how different people kind of publish their website differently and what are the different flows of information that they've used. And towards the end of it, we have also written an advice and proposed structure on what can be done, how it can be done, what should be. So it's a very valuable thing. You can go through it for your own. Even if you have a website, you can go through it, audit your website, and then kind of move towards it, right? Now, again, coming back to the website bit, one of the most so moving on from the website, right? I think I don't want to spend too much time there because you will get all these resources where you can learn a lot more about how to build the right kind of flow for your own website. I want to move to personal branding. In last couple of years, it has become a very important aspect of you running any type of business. And because co-living is community-centric, personal branding is becoming more and more important for us. Because if people know the founder, they believe in the concept, you get early traction, you get good early feedback, and then you can build a better product for the market, right? So why is personal branding becoming more and more important in the digital space? Because people believe in stories. They connect with your mission. They connect with your backstory with which you are starting or creating a co-living concept, right? And this helps you build an early following or get you early customers for your concept or the co-living space that you're creating. which makes it easy because earlier your company's brand will not have that much recognition, but you as a person will have a lot more recognition. So you will earlier have to build a personal brand and then slowly transfer that credibility of personal brand to your co-living brand. And that's how you create initial traction for it. And then the brand takes it from there. And then you use multiple other ways to push your co-living brand forward. That's why personal branding is really, really important. It builds credibility and it opens up a lot of opportunities. So just to give an example, right? I started my journey into the co-living world. I started posting regularly because I was posting regularly in 2015, 16, 17 in about co-living on LinkedIn. A lot of journalists were searching for it. They reached out to me. We were able to get published in 30 different publications, and that gave us a lot of free PR and media, because of which we were initially able to generate a lot of traction. So that's the reason. It's again, we have to use a very similar framework that we just spoke about in the like 5 minutes back. It's differentiation, thought leadership, credibility, and cultivation. That's how we build a personal brand. Again, example is if we talk about Art of Co, our differentiation is we are experts, we are consultants, we have worked in this industry. Our thought leadership is our content. We write books, we host these webinars, we have written Art of Co-living book. Credibility, the position that we have hold and the work we have done in past, it builds that credibility, and then we cultivate it to get more work for Art of Co and grow Art of Co to the next level, right? So just as an example. So it's very, very important. Another example is Quirky Co-living. It's one example where they never had co-living, but they started writing about what they wanted to do or how they were perceiving the movement or what they wanted to achieve or how they wanted to visualize their product, which garnered them which garnered the founder a lot of initial traction and helped him to start or fast track his co-living journey, right? Similar example is Node. A lot of us know Node already, but they recently started a creators residency, and they use different tactics to market this particular community initiative to in turn get sales, because this builds credibility, that in turn gets you sales. Not spending much time on it. This is an exercise for you. Whether you do it for your co-living brand or whether you do it for your personal brand, you need to use this framework to figure out what you will do. In this presentation, we've also given the examples of what are the different kinds of content that you can write in that framework and build it for your co-living brand as well as for your personal brand. Moving on, I just wanted to, now we will go through a series of sections where we will talk about a problem solution approach. A lot of you had raised a lot of questions when you filled an interest to this form. I've taken those questions, clubbed them into different themes, and then I'm talking about it. Let's talk about ideal customer profile. One of the questions that you guys asked us was how to attract the right co-livers, right? Or how to attract right co-livers. See, it's very important to understand your target market, to understand who you want to sell it to. Because until and unless you're clear about who you want to sell it to, we will never be able to do a good job at communicating who we are and what we want to do, and in turn getting sales and customers for our co-living space, right? So one thing to understand and to build is an ideal customer profile. You pick up this template, build an ideal customer profile, put it into an Excel or on a Miro board, however you want to do it, but go as detailed. For example, if you want to target digital nomads, now start building this up. What's the age group that you're looking at? What's the genders that you're looking at? What are the locations that you want to open, and from where do you want to target people? What are their income levels? What's their occupation? Which industry do they come from? What is their spending capabilities, or what are the how can you reach them? What are the channels? What's their psychography? The more detailed you write about it, the more clarity it gives you about your target segment, and then you can create a brand story around it on how do you want people to perceive the brand of co-living spaces that you're creating? And then you build the whole sales and marketing around that. This is a very scientific and systematic approach which can help you understand who your exact target market is and how do you want to move forward. And it's one of the most important exercise which most of us miss during our creation, because there are a lot more interesting thing to do and we miss upon this. But we need to spend a few days on it at least to figure out who our exact target market is. Moving on, let's talk something about brands and what are the biggest mistakes that people make in marketing co-living spaces, right? This is something that I get asked often, and it from last 10 years of being in this industry and running co-living spaces and the tech products in this industry, this is something I can vouch for. A lot of us overpromise and underdeliver, right? And that creates a huge gap in expectation, which reduces your credibility, which basically creates a spiral effect. And it becomes difficult to find right people, convince them to come to your spaces. The second biggest mistake that I've seen people doing is they don't talk about community enough, right? If you go to few of the bigger co-living, if you go to Habits website today, they call themselves co-living, but they don't speak about the community enough, whether it's in their email marketing newsletter, whether it's on their blogs, whether it's on the website, or whether it's on the social media. We need to talk about it enough in order to make people understand who we are. Another biggest mistake that I've seen, or kind of a huge mistake that I've seen people making, is not building an audience before the launch. It's a huge problem in itself. We need to understand it right from the core, that the day you decide that I want to start a co-living space, the day your audience building tactic should start. We spoke about personal brand. We spoke about websites. We will again speak about this later in the presentation. But we need to focus on building an audience, just as we start thinking about starting a co-living space, right? Another thing is we become a lot more transactional. Some brands become a lot more transactional. They think of it as a hospitality business, like a hotel business. And I think and we forget about being human. That's another mistake. Because we are community-centric industry, we should not forget that, right? And another thing that I've seen a lot of us don't do is inclusion of the local neighborhood. Because if you are able to impact the local economy and the local neighborhood through your initiative, it will add a lot of local flavor and culture to your space, which people will like. They will feel that they are immersed in your space a lot more, and this create a lot more authenticity. And that's the last point, right? We lack being authentic, right? So those are some things we need to take care of. We will again revisit them as key learnings towards the end of the presentation. Let's talk about different channels. What are the best channels to find audience? Like, there's no straight answer to this. It depends on your target segment, where they are spending most of their time, where they are forming communities, which part of the world you're speaking from, what works in your area. So there's no straight answer to what's the best channel. These are the list of the channels, word of mouth being the most important one. And we'll understand in a few minutes why that's the case. But these are just the name of the channels. But the way I want you to think that, just for an example, if I'm targeting digital nomads in India, I'm from India. If I'm targeting digital nomads in India, I need to understand that Instagram works a lot better than Facebook or LinkedIn for me to target digital nomads, to showcase them the diversity and the experience that they will have in India. Google ads work much better than Meta ads. SEO is one of the most important things because India is an up and coming digital nomad destination. So we need to understand that people are searching for knowledge. So if we start building content around helping people make decisions, that can help our brand a lot. And that goes into the content marketing field, right? And that's what we should understand, that there's no one right answer for what's the best channel, but it's a combination of things that you will eventually have to do based on a lot of variable factors, which will define the best channel for yourself. Another thing that I and ye get asked often is, how do I communicate about community in my marketing? Right? That's one thing that a lot of people miss the trick. So some things that I personally have followed in past and I think are really important is that we should have community elements. So it's not that you tell them, no, we have community, we have community, we have community. Nobody will believe you until you show and tell. So showcasing the community elements, whether it's on website, whether it's on the customer touch points during the sales and the initial process, right? Or whether it's the social media, or whether it's the newsletter, we need to create a community-centric approach to the communication at each and every touch point, whether it is digital and physical, right? That is how you communicate about community and integrate that with marketing, which makes it a lot more important. And the second thing that we miss a trick is we don't use a lot of user-generated content. This should be part of our marketing strategy right from the start, that how can I make people generate content? My people who are staying with me, my customers, my tenants, how can I involve them in the content generation process, which I can then use, because automatically it will become more authentic. It will be more real to people. They will connect to it better and they will understand that you have an audience, right? Or you have a community and that community has an audience and people like what you're doing. So those are some points to be kept in mind. Again, there is no blue pill or red pill here. There is no straightforward answer. It depends on your brand and a lot of other variables. But these were some points I wanted to make sure that I convey today to you guys. Another thing that we need to understand is the cost of marketing, right? And a lot of people ask, oh, how much should I spend? How much should I budget for marketing if I'm starting my co-living space? I have some numbers for you. Again, it's not a thumb rule, but this is based on the observations of what I've learned in last 10 years. The spends are determined by the return of investment you have on your funnel. And funnel can be different for different people. But in my experience, if you can spend up to 25% of, suppose you have 10 units in a space that you have opened, right? You can spend up to 25% of your first month stay for mid to long-term stays. And then if they are short-term stays, you can spend up to 10% of those short-term stays on your customer acquisition as your customer acquisition cost, right? Now, one question that naturally comes in, what's the initial average investment to build and set up marketing infrastructure and automations? I think it comes to, on an average, about $5,000. There are ways, a lot of people would have spent a lot more than this. A lot of people would have spent a lot less than this, but that's a sweet spot. I don't think we need more than this money to initially set up the digital infrastructure for running our spaces, right? But again, it changes for different business model and different location and what resources you have access to. If the founder is a techie or a marketing guy, then this cost can be much lower. But if you're not, then this can be a little bit higher as well. So we need to understand that. One of the interesting things that we now are in the era where 2018-19, we were trying to see, like, coliving.com existed as a platform, but nothing else. But over the last couple of years, we have started seeing a lot more different co-living specific marketplaces that have started to come up. Coliving.com, MapMelon, Nomadago, Portio Club, CoFind. Right? These are the different specific co-living specific marketplaces that can help you generate traffic from a very targeted kind of traffic, which is good for you. But we cannot ignore the local marketplaces also. Suppose if you are in India, you need to have some kind of presence in, let's say, a housing.com or a 99acres.com. If you are in US, you need to be present on apartments.com. So it has, again, it depends on the strategy, your target market. If you're only targeting specific seniors, you may not want to list on any of these, probably Portio Club, nothing else, because they can help you target seniors. So it depends. Again, there's no one answer to it, that what is the best digital platform to market your co-living spaces, but it's a combination of these. Again, we have to experiment it for the brand communication and the brand that we want to build, and then take an action accordingly. This is one of the most asked question. Almost 20-25 people asked about low season marketing, that how can we market our co-living spaces in low season? Because if you are in rural areas, or if you are in tourist areas, and if you're running co-living spaces with mid-term rentals, seasons will hit you. There will be high seasons and there will be low seasons. One thing that you need to understand is why those low seasons and high seasons exist. Why do they exist today as we talk today? It's because of the weather, right? That's the reason. People don't like to travel in a certain weather, that becomes the low season. And if they like to travel in some season, that becomes a high season. And different regions have different low seasons and high seasons. One of the only thing that I've seen working to counter the low season traffic is to generate some kind of group of people traveling together. Now that group can be you can host a purpose-driven retreat. It can be a wellness retreat, a fitness retreat, getting people together based on a certain purpose and then hosting them on your space. They won't mind the weather because they are coming there for the purpose. Hosting company retreats, which can be off-sites, right? Hosting communities, which are Hacker Paradise, Wi-Fi Tribe, Remote here. There are multiple communities. They can come in. You can host remote companies. A lot of people who are doing remote. So the remote working population has gone up from 6% in 2020 to 23% as of today, as we speak. It's growing like crazy. It has seen multiples of growth. So if you can, in your region, bring those people together for, let's say, a month, or you can come stay at our place a month, work together, and then go back and do remote work. So that's fun and work. I've seen this working up and close with multiple companies that we have worked with, right? And the last thing that you can do is play with pricing, change your targeting on whether it's through Google Ads or whether it's through SEO. You should change the target market. Look at people who want to travel on the budgets but still want to explore, right? And there are thousands and lakhs and millions of these kind of people. And then you play with the messaging and pricing and then handle it accordingly. These are different ways in which you can market and generate revenues even during low seasons. What works for you is something that you will have to figure it out, right? Another thing, we spoke about it briefly some time back, but what a lot of people ask, that when is the right time to start, right? And I say that marketing before starting is the right time to start. What I generally suggest people is just build a single page website, a very lean website, showcase your vision, community, visualize your product. Even if your product doesn't exist, build your website as if it exists, right? An example is Beacon Co-Living. They don't exist, but if you go there, look at their website, you will understand their vision, what they're trying to build. And people who can connect with your vision, who can connect with the product that you're building, will start signing up for a newsletter. That's how you start building up a community, right? Start creating content because that brings in recency factor. You go in top of mind of a lot of people and it opens a lot of opportunities. Start some kind of content creation, which can be newsletter, which can be podcast, which can be online events, right? Because this is how you start talking to the people who will actually ultimately become your target market, or who will ultimately become your customers. Now, different people look at it in different ways and they're comfortable. Some people start a newsletter and then they use that to grow their audience. Some people start podcasts because audiovisual is a great way to connect with an audience. And if you don't like to do anything or you don't have industry knowledge, you start documenting your process. Charisma Co-Living did this wonderfully. Mark is a dear friend and he did this wonderfully, documented the whole process of building up the space and the community and then put it on YouTube for people to see what goes behind building something, right? So this helps you to kind of also test out your target audience, what communication channel works, what doesn't work, who's your actual target audience. And rather than doing this after you launch your space and wait for the results to come, you can start doing it much before that, so that the learning happens in due time, and then you can start taking actual actions that can drive results. Now, we've spoken about a lot of things on what to do. What are the tools that we have available with us which can help us do all of this, right? So right from keyword research, which is great, which is very important for you to like work towards your SEO. We have Google Keywords Planner, we have Google Suggest. Then there are website building tools like Strikingly, Wix, Squarespaces, Webflow. Then there are copywriting tools which can help you uh, kind of express yourself better, as copy.ai, ChatGPT. Then you have Google My Business. You should set it up if you haven't, because it gives you a lot of edge in the local SEO, which adds up to the overall SEO of the website. Then you have Google Tag Manager and Search Console setup. It's part of the initial marketing infrastructure that you need to set up to start getting data about who you are targeting and how people are seeing you. Then your social media profiles. Then there are tools for email marketing and content marketing like MailerLite and MailChimp. Paid ads you can run. You have Google Ads Manager, Facebook Ads Manager, and then you can build and run online communities on tools like WhatsApp, Slack, Discord, and there are some others like that, right? So this is not an extensive list, but this is to give an idea of what are the tools that you need when you are starting to build up your marketing infrastructure and digital presence for your brand. Now we've spoken enough about a lot of things actually, but one of the most important thing is the team. How do I hire right people for my marketing team? If you're not a marketing co-founder, what kind of people you should look for, right? So it's a new industry. You will not always find people who come with relevant co-living experience. So you need to look at allied industries, similar industries like hospitality, residential real estate, PBSAs, BTR. Pick up marketing people from there who have understanding of SEO, content marketing, and paid ads, because I think the trifecta of SEO, content marketing, and paid ads can help you to basically grow from 0 to 10. And it's very, very important for us to grow initially, I think. And having these three skills, they need to have understanding of all other skills within the marketing as a domain. But these three things, you need to have a better understanding. And one thing that I've realized is when you pick people from different industry, they come with their own baggage. They need to have an attitude to unlearn and relearn, because co-living is different. The skills are still, the functional skills are still the same, but the application of those skills becomes different. And for this, even we at Art of Co have done multiple training sessions with new hires of a lot of bigger companies, where we don't train them on how to run a tool, right? They already know that. But we just train them on what co-living is and how to talk, or what language to use, or like just understand the basics of it, because it's different, right? And we all understand that. So and the last thing is about attitude. I think it's very generic, but I just wanted to point it out that they should be open to learn and experiment, because we are growing as an industry. We've just crossed a decade as an industry. The next decade is extremely important for our industry to grow, and we need all the right people to help us grow the co-living industry. I think I'll quickly go through some myths that you will always encounter in your journey and when you talk to different people. So I've gone with a myth and a fact thing. We have spoken about it, that you only need to build it when it's operational. I think you just need to start building your digital presence and audience the moment you decide to build your co-living space. It's not about just building website and social media. It's a lot more than that. You need to leave a lot of footprint in the internet, on the internet, for people to find you, whether it is listing on different websites, writing guest posts on different websites, doing media, doing PR, getting quoted in different industry publications. I think all of that is important. It's a slow and steady process, but we should work towards it. A lot of people say that paid ads are there. We'll just run some ads and we'll do it. Like SEO is something that we are not, it won't give anything in short term, but you need to, if you're building a co-living space, you should be thinking a bit long term. Paid ads are initial way to get traction and test the product, but ultimately SEO will make your business sustainable. If you're not investing in it, it's a big mistake for us. Now this is the checklist that we created to build a strong digital presence or a brand, or like to build the marketing engine for you. Some of this I've already covered in tools, but I think I just wanted to reiterate this fact that these are the things that we need to look at when we are building the digital infrastructure for our co-living brand. So I want to go back to where we started, like the mistakes that the co-living brands do. And I want to reiterate the fact that these are the key takeaways we should understand from this whole presentation, that we should always underpromise and overdeliver. Like, this is an equation that he always loves quoting. It's happiness equal to reality minus expectation. This is written in Art of Co-Living book. And this is something that we should swear by and work towards. Second point we have spoken about enough. We should, now the third point is very interesting, right? People try and communicate about the space. They talk about people, but they don't talk about what's happening within that space. That's where interesting stories come out from. That's where people interact more towards. I think that's one thing that every brand should emulate. Human-centric emotions and experience. We need to be authentic. And our residents are the best marketing tool because they gives you word of mouth. If you can create a great user experience, a great community. We do whatever we have spoken about this in webinar, but if we don't have a great user experience or a great customer experience during their stay, or even when they are visiting, we will not be able to create a great brand, right? So they are our best marketing tool and we should use them wisely, and then integrate ourselves with local economy because that gives us a lot of opportunities. Before we go further, I would like to kind of open it up for questions. If you have any question, you can unmute yourself, ask, and we can go through those questions. Would love to answer. So Kate had asked about, so I'll read the question, how the marketing approaches varies from private sale and affordable products to co-living, right? See, the messaging is different. For a selling of a property or affordable, like whether we are selling a property, we are selling rentals in a residential real estate, it's a lot more transactional. It's a lot more that it happens at a point in time and then people move on. But co-living is a lot more like it's regular. It's over a period of time because it doesn't end. The marketing doesn't end when somebody starts living at your place. It continues over a period of time and even during the stay and even when they leave. So I think that's the biggest difference that I see in this. Somebody asked, what's the best channel today to market to digital nomads worldwide? I think I covered this during the talk. But one thing that we need to understand is there are a lot of existing communities like Digital Nomad Worlds, NomadX, and a lot of other communities which are already built. The first instinct in my mind is to kind of try and collaborate with them and see if that can help you gain initial traction. But there are more traditional channels like Google Ads. You build your content, SEO, and then move towards more innovative ways of marketing by hosting events, creating the community of your own in the space where you are, so that like-minded people can come in and kind of like attracts like, right? So we need to do that. But I think where I would start is existing communities where we can kind of extract a lot of value from. just going through the chat to see if somebody pointed out a very interesting point, that when it's a new asset, communicating about community becomes a little bit of a challenge. But I see it as an opportunity because you can design what you want your community to be, to showcase, and then execute it when people start coming there. I think that's the way I would look at it. I think that's it. I don't see. Okay. Which KPI you use to measure the satisfaction of the community? There are few. One is NPS that you can use. Second is a customer satisfaction survey that you can send along with some questions. Those are the two standard mechanisms that I've used in past to figure out how. So in NPS, you ask how likely you are to like talk about my community out in your network. And there's a 1 to 10 scale, and there's a way you calculate NPS. So 9s and 10s, the number of people who select 9s and 10s are subtracted from number of people who select 1 to 6 or 7, and that gives you a score. So I think that's a very interesting way to understand what your community thinks about your brand. Atlas asked, I'm curious about the ratio of the operators leasing versus owning. I know it's not a marketing related question, but I would like to answer because we recently were speaking about it in our last webinar. Last 10 years, a lot more people were leasing, probably 80% and 20% were owning. But since post-COVID, this trend is changing slowly. Even the companies like Nodes are now owning their asset. They're going into a PropCo-OpCo model. So I would say the shift has started happening because the business model is evolving and it's becoming a lot more stable. But like I would still say that 30% are owning and 70% are still leasing, but the shift has started happening. So Beatrice asked, how can we reach people on social media? The most difficulty I've seen, see, social media platforms have evolved, right? Organically, you can only do so much on social media, whether it's Meta, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, even LinkedIn has started limiting the organic reach of every post because that's how they optimize for their revenues. So initially, my suggestion is always to create a budget for social media, run some ads, get relevant traffic, and then that's how you can start attracting right people to your concept or product. Organically, it is very difficult, in my opinion, until and unless you have some reach in like beyond 5,000 or 7,000 followers. The organic reach will not always be great, and it won't give you any results, right? So you need to spend some money there in order to build that audience. Lorik has asked, how will you market to co-livings to conservative property owners? See, pension funds have become a lot more open to co-living as an asset class because it's growing, because of its growing demand and the growing buzz around the word co-living, right? So happening. See, there's a financial way, and then there is a philosophical way to market or to talk about your with these people, right? One, the financial way is you need to build a model, done this multiple times, that co-living helps you achieve better rental yields in long term, right? And so that's the financial angle that we can use. The second thing that we can talk about more philosophically is, see, world is becoming more nuclear. Our families are becoming more nuclear. We are becoming more lonely. It's becoming very difficult for people to own their own houses now. And because of these two underlying trends that are going on, a lot more people would want to live in co-living. That's the reason co-living is growing at the rate at which it is growing. So I think uh, that's that those are the two like story angles we can pick up and start pitching our projects to more conservative audience. Which KPI do you think is better to track improvements in SEO? There are two things that we should use. One is obviously the search console traffic and the impressions. The impressions and the clicks that are coming on search console, because that's the true organic traffic, right? How many, how is the rate of growth of your impressions? How is the rate of growth of your clicks, right? Those are the two most important things to see if your SEO is working. The third secondary metric you need to understand is the number of pages indexed. Because if you're writing more and more content, if you are building your digital presence, those pages need to get indexed, right? So the growth in the number of pages getting indexed. Those are the three things I would look at if I have to track how my SEO is doing, right? And then there are a lot of free tools available. If you just type SEO audit, that will give you a lot of understanding of how you can improve your SEO. A lot of free Ahref, Moz have a lot of free tools. I think I've covered everything that was written in chat. If you guys have anything else, would love, you can unmute and talk about it. Yeah, we will put recording on our website, so you can always come to Art of Co under Co-Living University. We will put it. Would love to have your feedback. If you want to write it here, great. If you want to send it via email to us, you can. I'll just leave our email where you can write feedback, what we can do better, what else we can do, how else we can improve, or what else we can add in terms of content, which can add a lot more value. Please feel free to do this. I'm also leaving our email where you can write to us